how to take the necessary action even when you're scared. Hey, my dear, I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. And I am talking today about how you can take action even when you're scared. And we've been talking for the last few weeks about setting goals for 2018 and how to take the steps to do that. And some of you may be feeling a little bit antsy about now taking those steps. Before we get diving in on today's topic, I'm going to go over and share this in my Confident Women Leaders group. And hopefully this time I can find it. I started the live a few minutes ago and I was on the total wrong page. So if you've been wondering where I am, that's where I am. I'm going to share to a group. So if you are waiting for me and on the call live or in the replay, what I want to know in the chat box is, have you set goals for 2018 yet? So just type yay or nay in the chat box. I want to know if you have set goals yet for 2018. So while you're doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about the Confident Women Leaders group. That is a private group that I have set up on Facebook where the women who are leaders and maybe struggling, maybe feeling a little bit lost, maybe feeling alone, maybe looking for other women going through some of the same struggles, want to get connected to that. That's what we're doing in that group. And so I've shared the link and I will share it. It's in the notes as well. And you can join that after the call today if that's something you're interested in. Again, today we are talking about how to take necessary action even when you're scared. So last week's Facebook Live, we were talking about sort of diving into 2018 and setting some goals for yourself. And the first thing that you need to do is set aside time to plan, then create your goals, and then take action. But that's often where we stop. It's great to do the planning. I'm hoping that you've set up some goals, and if not, we can talk about that more as we go into it. But what do you do when that fear hits you? And we tend to do this by procrastinating, by delaying. We hedge, we forget that we had that goal. We forget that we intended to do something. And so we don't actually take action. And so we're thinking about, right now, I'm going to sign up for that course. I'm going to address those issues that I know need to be addressed with that group of people or with that individual. I'm going to set some boundaries so I don't work as many hours and I have a better work-life balance. I am going to dust off my resume because it's time to apply for a new job. Great intentions now. Just like you're going to go to the gym and go faithfully and work out, or you're going to change your diet. But what happens come mid-January? Or the end of February, when you've taken no action? If you don't take action now, the chances of you moving forward on your goals are going to be slim to none. And so what you may be faced with is that fear. If you have been following along, what I want to kind of go back, and I got to find my right note here. I want to go back and kind of walk you through where we've been, because this has been a little bit of a journey. And as we kind of go through the journey, it'll help you to remember why it is that we're here today talking about setting goals. So back in September, I started talking about the surviving to thriving continuum. And we talked about survival mode is just barely hanging on, going through the motions of your day, maybe not necessarily enjoying your job, on that borderline of falling apart, burning out, ready to quit half the time, all that kind of stuff. We move to the middle, and that's just tolerating our jobs, right? Whatever, it's okay, it's a job, it's a paycheck. But when we move to that other end where we're thriving, that's when we come to work. And actually, I posted in the Confident Women Leaders group yesterday, what's it like when you know you've had a really good day, like a perfect week, a fantastic day, and somebody said, I still have energy at the end of the day. I got the stuff done that I wanted to get done. I feel like I'm doing meaningful work. That's thriving, right? So I talked about that in September. And so as I'm kind of going through this, I'm going to connect you to the dates so you can go back on Facebook and scroll through the videos if you want to watch the video on that, or you can go to silverrivercoaching.com/guides and you can get the guide sheets that go with this, because there's been guide sheets to walk you through each of these. On the 22nd of September, I was talking about, in order to move along that continuum, you've got to create that thriving target. What's the vision of life like when you get over there to that thriving end? Remember, We are teleological beings, meaning we are driven by goals, by targets, by aiming for something. And so back in September, I gave you that worksheet that was about the thriving target. Then in October, we started talking about, to get there, you have to have that level of competence, meaning you feel skilled, capable of doing things, and that will give you that level of confidence to move into that. Many of us women are struggling in this survival mode or tolerating simply because we don't know how to do things. We've never been given the skills of how to lead or do proper supervision, or how to motivate employees, or how to deal with conflicts that we're struggling with. We've never learned all of those skills. Or I was talking yesterday in my newsletter about, at some point, I had no idea how to use Excel spreadsheets, and I was struggling to do my year end, my month end every month, and then my year end, because I didn't know how to use Excel spreadsheets. That's a lack of competence. And in order to sort of move along this continuum, you've got to feel better about your skills and abilities. If you are going to continue floundering in leadership, you'll never get to that thriving end, because you're just going to be barely hanging on, always worried that somebody's going to find you out, that you're going to mess up, that you're going to make mistakes. So you need to develop some skills to feel more of that confidence. So that was in October, we were talking about that. If you want to develop skills, I was talking November 9th, I was talking about the attitude that you need to have in leadership. And that's that mindset shift where we believe we can grow. You need to have that growth mindset. If you don't believe you can learn Excel, or you don't believe you're ever good at dealing with conflict, you'll never dive into the courses that are going to help you develop those skills. You'll never believe, even if you take the course, that you can apply it. You need to have that right mindset shift. So that was in November, we were talking about that. So I kind of laid that foundation. Surviving to thriving, you got to develop some skills and some confidence to get there. You got to have the right mindset to do that. You've got to believe that you can grow and learn and change. So then in December, we started talking about, okay, let's create a vision for 2018 that's maybe different than what you've been experiencing. Maybe we're going to move you from survival or tolerating closer to that target at the end, that thriving target. So in December, I started on the 14th, I did a strategic look back. Look back at what you've learned over 2017. What are some of the things you don't want to repeat? But when times were working good, what was it that was going well for you? What were you doing? Take that strategic look back. And then December 21st, we talked about planning forward. So you know what was happening back then. You've got this thriving target developed. Now we need to plan. And then so last week we were talking about the 3 steps you need to make 2018 superb. And I'm hoping you've done these steps knowing full well that you may not have, and that's okay too. That's why we're talking about this more today. Step number 1, set aside time. Step number 2, plan. And then step number 3, of course, is take action. So again, if you've not done the planning or the setting aside time, I really encourage you to go back to last week's Facebook Live, check that out, check out the guide sheets all through the last few weeks that I've been doing. If you want some structured help to go through that, make sure you go check out myblueprintforchange.com. That's the online course that I'm doing for discontent women leaders who long for a different experience of leadership in life. Remember, when you enroll in Blueprint for Change, you are going to get not only the process, but also that motivation for making those changes. You're going to create your personal and professional strategic plan. And that's what some of you are needing right now. Is I don't just need the goals that my boss or my board or my organization tells me. And I don't just need personal goals around, finances or weight loss or health. I need to mix this all together and just get my shit together. That's what Blueprint for Change helps you do. It helps you look at all of your life, both at work. Where am I going in my career? Not just in this job, but where's my career going? How does that fit in with my whole life? How does that fit in with the difference I want to make in the world over the coming years? All of that together. So that's available for you now, myblueprintforchange.com. So what if you get to this point now, you've got some goals, you have a plan in place, and it's time to take action, and you're feeling afraid. Maybe you are afraid of change. Many of us don't want to change. As much as we don't like where we're at, the change is very uncomfortable. We don't want to go through the whole process. Some of us are afraid of failing. What if I do this? What if I take this on and I'm terrified? What if it's so uncomfortable that I can't even do it? Or the fear of success. What if I am successful? I was coaching a lady just last week who was applying on a new position, and she's like, what if I get it? Right? Terrified. What if I actually succeed at this? Right? What does that mean? Because it's going to change a whole bunch of stuff. When I applied on new positions and was successful at them, what that meant was I then had to step up my game. There was more people watching me, greater expectations on me. It meant I had to work longer hours sometimes. It meant I had to travel more. Every time you are successful, that also comes with a change that maybe you're fearing. Well, here's the thing. Let's take a little history lesson into fear for a moment. See, fear isn't the same now as it was for our ancestors. Back in the day when our ancestors got afraid, what was happening is they were kind of hanging out in their comfort zone. And in their comfort zone, their cave or their hut or wherever they were living, life was good until they got hungry or cold, probably. And when they got hungry or cold, what did they have to do? They had to venture out of their comfort zone and go search for some firewood or, an animal to wrestle up or something. What happened to them sometimes when they maybe stretched a little bit too far away from their comfort zone is they got that sort of tingly feeling. They would get the tightness in their head, or their shoulders would tense up, or they got that rumbling in their tummy, or they would get, sweaty palms or pits, or their heart would race. That was fear, right? Something was going on that caused them to be afraid. What that was a physiological reaction to a physical threat. That physical threat for them is, a wild tiger breathing down their neck, or storms brewing, or the neighboring warrior says, get back in your own territory kind of thing, or I'm going to chase you down. And so what they did was they went scurrying back to their comfort zone. And that worked for them. The whole purpose in fear back in the day was survival. For us now, fear is a whole different story. If we get hungry or cold, we can just reach and grab our sweater or a blanket, or go to the fridge and get some food, maybe go to Walmart or Costco. That's probably about the scariest thing we got to do, right? Now, leaving our comfort zone means saying something to somebody else, addressing an issue, applying on a new contract, putting our resume in someplace. It is a action that isn't necessarily about life and death anymore. And it's when we think about doing those things that we have that same physiological reaction that our ancestors felt. We get that tightness in our head. We get that, dry throat, sweaty palms and pits. Our tummy starts to rumble. Our heart starts to race. We have the exact same physiological reaction that our ancestors felt when they left their comfort zone. The only difference now is that it's not a physical threat that we have, and it's an emotional threat. We're afraid of being abandoned. It's one thing to speak up at a meeting, but man, if you put your idea forward and everybody else kind of just goes, I don't know what he's talking about, I don't know what she means, we can be thrown under the bus really easy in the middle of a meeting. We're afraid of being ridiculed or embarrassed. Like, well, that's a stupid idea. Well, what makes you think you can do that? We're afraid of losing friends, family members, right? I'll use the example of moving up into different positions. I was coworkers on the same level with some people. When I moved up to that new position, I lost those friendships because I was now supervising them. That's a scary place to be in, and we don't often want to do that. It's those physiological reactions to that emotional threat that has us scurry back to our comfort zone. The problem is, when it was our ancestors, and if they'd kind of gone past that point, they probably would have been facing death, right? For us going past that point, that inner fear that we're feeling inside of our bodies, is actually our potential. When we speak up, when we apply on the new position, when we sign up for the new course, when we decide to do things differently, is when we can reach our full potential. That's when we move into that place that really we're being called to move into, or the place where we can really make our difference. That's where we move from that survival mode or tolerating our jobs to really thriving, because we're using our full potential. We're making our big difference. Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense to you. If that fear that's stopping us dead in our tracks isn't actually helping us right now in terms of getting where we want to go. Actually, if you think about it slightly differently, it can help you. When you have those physiological reactions, when it's time to take action and you're procrastinating, you're delaying, you're putting things off, what I want you to do is go, whoa, 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 wait a minute. This isn't telling me I'm going to die if I speak up. This isn't telling me that, my life is in danger if I sign up for this course. It's actually pointing me to my potential. That's what we need to do, is see that fear is pointing us to our potential. So when you are struggling to get into action, when you are afraid about doing those things that are going to move you towards achieving your goals, what you need to do is really connect powerfully to your vision. What is it that thriving target looks like? What's the vision of the life you want feel like? When you get there, what will you be experiencing? Will it be a greater sense of ease? Will you be feeling more energetic? Will you be feeling more fulfilled? Will you be getting your to-do list done? Will you be taking on that new project that you've always wanted to do? What does it look like when you get to that thriving place? So that's, I always have a guide sheet for you. That's where you have a special guide sheet today. So I can't remember the number, but back a few weeks ago, I did the thriving target, and I'll put that one in the notes as well. That's one of the things you can do. But what I thought might be really helpful for you today is some of you have been checking out Blueprint for Change, and you're not so sure if it's right for you, or you don't know if it's something you need. So what I did was I pulled out one of the whole lessons out of Blueprint for Change for you, and you're going to get it free today when you click on the link to get the guide sheet for today. So it's a whole video and a worksheet that help you look at, where is it that I want to go? So this is a deeper dive for you into that quick look at, what does my thriving target look like? It takes you to that next level, and at the same time, it gives you a sneak peek into Blueprint for Change. So you're going to get that in the link when you go over in the notes today to, I think it's called Sneak Peek into Blueprint for Change. So when you do that, again, what you're going to get is you're going to get the link to go watch the video and do the worksheet, because it's that target, it's that vision, it's that powerful idea that you want that's going to pull you through that fear. So if you can imagine yourself having staff meetings where your team is engaged and they are bringing up tense topics, but able to work through them. When you can see that interaction between your staff, and that you are leading that and you're setting the tone for that, and you have the confidence to handle that, even when it gets tense, even when it gets a little bit dicey, that you can all stay in that conversation and move through it, because on the other side of that, that it's going to help you do some more incredible work for your community or your clients. That's a powerful vision. That's going to pull you through that fear you have when you're starting that staff meeting going, maybe today's not the day to bring this issue up. But maybe it is. Those physiological reactions in you, your stomach tightening, your chest starting to beat really loudly, you getting that sweaty palms and pits, that's actually saying it is time to address this issue. It is time to have this conversation. And when you continue to develop the skills necessary to get to that point, taking conflict resolution training, dealing with that inner guidance system that helps you enhance your emotional intelligence, all of that learning and growth and development bring you to that point where you can dive into those conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, even if fear is overwhelming you, and you can settle your nerves, calm yourself down, get back control of your emotions, and dive into that conversation, having the confidence to handle it. So if you want to move through the fear that's stopping you dead in your tracks, if you want to move despite that fear and take the actions that you've identified in your goals and your plan for 2018, create that powerful vision. It's that vision that's going to pull you forward on those days when you're not so sure, when you're terrified, when you're second guessing yourself, when you're hesitant, doubtful, procrastinating. It's that powerful vision of what can happen on the other side of that fear that's going to help you do that. That's what's going to move you from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. So make sure you head on over to the links in the notes here. Grab that download that's going to give you a sneak peek into Blueprint for Change. It's going to give you the whole lesson on creating a little bit more of a vision for you. And if you are interested, make sure you sign up for Blueprint for Change. Again, myblueprintforchange.com. The doors close next Friday, so you've only got a little bit of time left to hem and haw and decide if this is where you're at. But here's the thing. I'm going to challenge you today. If you are looking for something different in 2018, if you are really looking to be your best self, be the best leader you can be, create that life where you're moving from that, some days I really don't want to be here, to really engaged in your work, really showing up powerfully as a leader, I really encourage you to check out Blueprint for Change. Hit the buy now button, because it will help you strategically change the direction of your life. It really is that place that's going to help you look at, what do I need to do to get there? Because you can wish for it, dream for it, hope for it, but until you plan it and take the action, you're never going to make the changes. So if you go to myblueprintforchange.com, you're going to discover how you can create that personal and professional strategic plan. Because let's face it, my dear, if you don't create that plan now, if you don't decide what you want differently in your life, if you don't develop that strategy and then start walking through those steps, somebody else is going to decide your year for you. Somebody else is going to tell you what committees you're sitting on, what hours you're working, and how much energy you have at the end of the day. So if you want to do things differently, start taking action today, get out of that comfort zone, and you, my dear, will move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life. Thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll stay on because I know there's some people still on. If you have any questions, let me know. I will answer them now. But again, it requires action to make changes. It really, truly does. And so if you want to make things different, decide what you want differently, set some goals, create a plan, create a strategy, create a blueprint, start working the plan, get out of your comfort zone, because you will move from surviving to thriving in both leadership and life. Thanks, ladies. I will talk to you next week.